Welcome back to the IU427 garage, everybody. Today we're working on the Mark IV prototype, and we may get to the carpet underneath the door sills, but I'm going to start in the rear fender wells. So I noticed as I was getting ready to do this that we now have a sway bar that may be in our way as we go to put these rear splash shields in, so we're going to have to kind of see what happens there. At the very worst, what I'll have to do is put some maybe put a couple of holes in the rear splash and then attach the two holes to make an oval place for the sway bar to go up and down. But we'll see how it fits once we get to that point. I want to go ahead and get the bolt in for this side of the roll bar as well. The last thing we'll do on this side is we'll go ahead and fabricate a closeout panel for the area right here. We do this on every one of our builds, and since we've got all this powder coated black, what I'll do is I'll hit that with some truck bed lining and then some gloss black spray paint, and then it'll all kind of blend in, and that'll get fastened into place. It'll get a little bulb seal as well. On the other side of the car, what I'm going to do is pretty much the same thing. I'll have to notch that shield, that rear splash shield, out the same on this side as I would on the other side. But like I said, we'll see once we kind of get it in place whether or not it's going to fit without any modification, and then go from there. No roll bar on this side, so I don't have to do anything up in there. We'll do the closeout panel on this side to close in that gap to the cockpit on this side as well. All right, this bears showing everybody, but what I do when I'm putting in these rear splash shields is I actually put a piece of painter's tape. You can see it right there. And what I'm trying to do with that is I'm trying to create a line, a straight line, perpendicular to the frame right here. So the splash shield goes in straight, 90 degrees. And this will get removed before I put it in for the last time. And for the splash shields, I do not use any silicone sealant. They're just riveted in, because you may find that over time you need to take one of these splash shields out, and fighting with the silicone or any of the other adhesives you might use just becomes a royal pain in the ass. So I've created this line. It's perpendicular to the frame, so it's plumb. And I've already drilled my holes. So what I do is I drill my holes in the panel first, and I mark the holes from the back so that my silver marker isn't going to be seen. That way I don't even have to worry about wiping it off with acetone and ruining the surface of the panel itself. And then my worry about the sway bar was for nothing, because what I did end up having to do, and I don't know why this is happening on all these Mark IVs that I've done basically since the 25th anniversary car, I've had to notch the bottom of the panel for this part of the tank that sticks out. I don't want to bend the tank because this is like a heat welded type joint in the tank that joins the top and the bottom of the tank. So I don't want to be fussing around with that a whole lot and break that weld. So I've just as soon notch around it, but I don't understand why the tank, and maybe it's because it's an aftermarket tank and not an actual Ford tank, we're having issues with this. But we are, and so what I'm going to do is, since I've notched it, I'll take some of this edge trim that I have and wrap it around here to clean up that raw edge, and it'll look fine, but I'm just unsure why I'm having to notch around that. So let me get that in, and I'll bring you back. All right, so I've got it all pop riveted up here at the top. I've got a clearance here for the lip of the gas tank. And then I use some, if anybody knows where I can get some more of this edge guard, it's like this perforated clear edge guard, let me know. Factory 5 never, they no longer supply that with their Mark IV or coupe kits. This is the stuff here that they supply, and it won't make these radius bends on it. So if you know where I can get that, put a comment down in the comment section and let me know where I can find that stuff, because I've looked everywhere. Anyway, so I've got this all kind of safed off, so there's no sharp edges here. The edges were filed, but this looks nicer than just the raw cut edge, since this was powder coated. And then at the bottom here, I wanted to show you this little trick. So take your vice grip, put a little bit of tape on it, and then tighten it snug so that this lip that comes under here that you're going to pop rivet to is pulled against the body. Then drill your hole and put your colored pop rivet down there. Now we're using black because this is a dark colored car. If it was a light colored car, we'd use just a silver pop rivet in there. But nobody's going to see it anyways, because nobody's going to crawl underneath the car. The black one just kind of fades away into the background when you've got a dark colored car. So this side's all done as far as the splash panel. I'm going to get going on the roll bar. I'm going to get that drilled out right now, and then I'll bring you back. All right, it is much later in the day. As I said before, I've got this all in place. I've got the splash guard riveted in place. I've got the roll bar bolted in, and I've got the front closeout plates. These are actually for the back of the cockpit, but for the front of the wheel well. I've got those all fabbed up. I've got them outside, and I've got a first coat of truck bed liner on there. So I'm going to have to wait for them to dry. It's cooling off right now. It's the evening already. And so they'll get paint tomorrow and go on tomorrow. But I also got this side all finished up. So got the rear splash shield in here. Got it riveted, and then I've got the magic rivet here at the bottom all in place. And this one, it took a little bit more work. I had to get this portion of the splash shield kind of bent back so that the sway bar wouldn't make contact with it. But it's not bad. It came out looking pretty good, so we're going to just trudge forward and get this all squared away. I'll be mounting these closeout panels. Oh, you can see me in the reflection. I'll be mounting these closeout panels tomorrow, and I'll bring you back then. All right, folks, Paul McCartney, Silly Little Love Songs. Still working in the back, inside the fender wells. The closeout panels that I was working on yesterday are all painted. So I hit them with the truck bed liner, and that's just give them a little texture, since they're right next to this area right here that Miller puts a truck bed lining or a rubberized undercoating on, so they kind of match. And then I go over that, because it's all paintable, with the gloss black Rust-Oleum, because it just kind of ties everything together. And so if you're up in the Great White North, this is what trim clad gloss black. But down here in the States, it's Rust-Oleum. And so I've got that all put in place. I've got some rubber bulb seal all the way down to the bottom. And so it just helps to close in that gap. I just use, this is all scrap from kits that I've done in the past. You're going to find that when you cut your bulb seal, what's left of your bulb seal to finish off your splash shields, guys like to call these elephant ears, but you're going to have some of these small pieces, depending on how Factory 5 shipped it. If they just ship you one piece, then you'll just have maybe one piece at the end to cut these little pieces for your closeout panels. And these closeout panels aren't included with the kit. I custom fabricate these here. I have a template that I use to fabricate them for Mark 4s. I have a template for Mark 3s. I have a template for Mark 2s and Mark 1s, because they're different. But use those scraps, whatever you got left, in order to put on these closeout panels if you decide you're going to do them. Now, I do that because that gap in between the body and the chassis allows water, when you go through puddles, to go in to the car and soak the carpeting. So this way, with the panel there, it's going to limit the amount of water that gets in there to soak the carpet. And if you get caught in a rainstorm, it's one thing for the carpet to get wet from the outside, outside in. It's another thing for it to get soaked from the back side. It just never dries out when the back of the carpeting gets wet. Now I'm going to go over to the other side. I'm going to show you what it looks like before we put the bulb seal on, and what that piece looks like. And as I told you yesterday, these pieces, even though I use the same template for both sides, are different because the gap is different from passenger side to driver's side. So here's the panel, and you can see on this side I've got this area where my fingers are, where it kind of dips in, and that's just because that's where it needs to go in to conform to the body. So on this upper portion, the bulb seal is actually going to be on the outside of the panel, and where it dips in here, it's going to, the bulb seal is going to get sandwiched in between the end of the panel, the edge of the panel, and the body. So the bulb is going to be right here where my ring finger is. So just keep that in mind when you make these. You want to keep the bulbs, you want to put the bulb seal in a manner which it's going to stay in place. By sandwiching it in between the body and the panel, on the bottom portion, it really helps to secure it in place. Now, because we've built up the thickness of this with the truck bed liner and the paint, that also helps to keep the bulb seal on. However, the pressure that it's going to have once all of these rivets go in is actually going to force it against the body and not allow the bulb seal to come off. So let me get this other one in place. I'll bring it back. I'll show you what that looks like, and we'll see how we're doing on time. All right, so I figured since I had all the templates out, I'd show you Mark IV, Mark III, Mark I, and Mark II. So the reason that this is different, the Mark I and Mark II, the way the frame is on those is a little bit different, and so it's wider. And then Mark III, they went to a wider tire, and then the chassis for the door strikes and everything changed as well. So this is a little thinner than the Mark I and Mark II, and then obviously the Mark IV is right here, which is the shortest of them all because they changed the location of the square tube on it. So on the Mark III, the square tube that makes up that back corner of the cockpit is a little bit different. Ignore this. This was just a mistake when I was making the template. But I keep these, and I have a box of templates. And every time I need to make something, I go to my templates and I make them out of the aluminum material. Even my trunk cover, I've got one for the Mark III and Mark IV right here. You guys have probably seen this in the past. So I just have a box of templates, and when I need them, I make them out of aluminum and they're done. So over here, you can see I've got the passenger side in. Over here, same thing. Just want to make sure you get the bulb seal to kind of seal off the area right in here where it meets the fiberglass body. On the inside, we've got a couple pop rivets holding it on. At the bottom, we cut the actual clip portion of the bulb seal back so that the panel will rest flat against the chassis, and then just leave the rubber portion of the bulb run long, and that keeps it in place and keeps the water from being able to be driven into that area as you go through a puddle or in the rain. So that's going to do it here in the back of the car. We're done in the fender wells. I think while I'm back here, I'm going to go underneath the car. I'm going to make sure that I didn't miss any straps for the brake lines or any of the electrical harness or even the fuel lines. I'm going to make sure that I've got all of the nuts and bolts tight on all the suspension components, because we've already set our driveline angle for the pinion and the drive shaft. So we don't need to be adjusting anything. I just want to make sure all the stop nuts are tight, so I don't have to come back here again. And then the back end of the car will be pretty much wrapped up. I did turn on the parking lights last night before I went in to make sure that the tail lights, the license plate light, the blinkers, so the turn signals right and left, and the hazard lights all worked along with the brake lights. We're good there. So I think the back end of the car is pretty much wrapped up. Alrighty, everybody, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to run out of time here, but I'm going to quickly go over this, and we'll cover this in the next video. I'm going to use a piece of carpeting from a Mark III 3.1 kit. Okay, I got this carpet either from Joel or from Mike, and I don't know which one it is. If it's from Joel, it's a Mark III. If it's from Mike, it's a Mark 3.1. This is the Mark III piece of carpet. This, I'm going to lay it over the top, is the piece of carpet for the Mark IV that came with the prototype. The problem with it is it ends up with a seam right here along the edge, and I want to alleviate that. I don't want that seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pick up some template board tomorrow. I'm just going to, since I know the product, I'm going to pick up what's called like RAM board, and it's a really thick compressed cardboard material that comes on a roll, and it's great for making patterns. We use it to protect floors in customers' houses when we're doing a project and we've got to cover their hardwood floors, but it makes really good templates. So when I don't have my normal poster board or beer or Pepsi boxes, I'll use that RAM board, and it makes great templates. But I'm going to pick up a roll of that because I need it for another project. And I'm going to make a template of this Mark III carpet so I have it in the future, and I can cut out numerous pieces of this if I have to. Basically what I'm going to do is I started putting in the sill plates. So normally I don't run the sill plate all the way up here, but in this case I'm going to, because we powder coated this piece and it helps to hide this edge. And I've also got these aluminum trim pieces that are going to cover this whole thing rather than using the rubber like cinch molding that Factory 5 includes. So because I'm using that, I'm trying to make this as clean as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece in, but I'm going to leave the inside portion of it on this side. I'm going to leave it uncarpeted. I'm only going to carpet the top. I'm not even going to carpet this section here in the front. I'm just going to leave it because I think it's going to look better without carpet on it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the carpet from this corner all the way back on this whole face, and I'm going to wrap it around the top. And then I'm going to use that trim, that aluminum trim that we've had powder coated black to cover all this up. And I think it's just going to make everything look a lot neater and tighter. And so I don't have time to do all that work in this video. The video is going to run way long if I do that. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to end this video here, and then the next video I'll start tomorrow, but we'll pick this up in next week's video so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. I think it's really going to turn out nice, and then from now on I'm just going to make my own pieces for underneath the doors, because in the long run I think it's just going to look nicer, and we won't have to use any moldings like we did on the 25th anniversary car to cover that edge, and I won't have to cut it in two pieces in order to make it fold over the top. So I'm going to end it here. If you're enjoying the content here, if you wouldn't mind, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.